Hi friends, this is Ammu Jayaraj. So today we shall see how to go about optional subject and also the resources to be used in geography paper 1. My optional subject is geography. So what are the resources to be used for the paper 1? These are the two things what we are going to see for this session. So about my profile, I am Ammu Jayaraj and I have done BE Civil Engineering. So this year I was able to sail through Civil Services examination with a rank 141, and my optional, as I mentioned earlier, it is geography. Then talking about the subscriptions of Unacademy, if you're really interested in subscribing, then you can either go for plus subscription or iconic. The features of both are being given here. And for both the subscriptions, you can use the referral code AMMU, that is AMMU. If you're using that, you will be getting 10% discount. So now, first of all, choosing the right optional. So in this case, you have different types of optional subjects. Like the options are like humanities, and then you have engineering, then science-based optional subjects are there, then you have literature. These are the major ones, the four types. So how to choose the right optional subject? First thing is that you should have some kind of interest towards that particular subject. Like, for example, you can just go through the syllabus and you just see whether you are able to relate with a particular subject. If you feel some kind of interest or some kind of you can connect, if you are able to connect with that particular subject, you can definitely go for that particular subject. Second one is about the material availability. You should go through each and every portion in the syllabus and make sure that you have sufficient material for the particular subject. Like there are standard books to be followed, or there are some kind of material which is available for you. And then next is about good mentor, which is very important while choosing optional subject. This is the one of the major factors to be seen. The mentor could be a teacher or even a friend who has had good experience with civil services examination and having the same optional subject. So the mentor is very much essential to evaluate your performances. You can write all these weekly tests and get it evaluated from your mentor. So there are also myths associated with choosing optional subject. The first myth is we should choose only high scoring optional subject. This is one of the common phrases, like common thing what I have heard. But who is going to decide which optional subject is scoring or not? I mean, it all depends on how the candidates write the exam. So you cannot decide which subject is scoring, which subject is less scoring, and all. It keeps on changing. The trend keeps on changing. So it is just a myth. And next thing is about engineering subjects are too tough to deal with. Of course, I am also an engineer. I did engineering, but I did not choose an engineering subject. However, now the scene is different. You have material available, you have good mentors who can evaluate your performances. There are institutes are also there, specialized institutes which are dealing with engineering subjects. So definitely if you are good in your engineering, definitely you can go ahead with engineering subject. And then literature optional is a very easy entry. Not at all, not like that. If you are interested, very well, you can take literature option, but don't think that it is an easy way to enter into the civil services. Not at all. I have seen my aspirants struggling with literature optional also. So it is just a myth. If you're really interested, if you have sufficient material, then go ahead with the preparation. Otherwise, please do not break your head with literature optional. Then comes should go to Delhi for preparation. There is nothing like that. I have seen so many aspirants who have come out with flying colors within their first or second attempt. by just sitting at their home, um, getting things through online or through institutes close by. So nothing like that, that we should go to Delhi and prepare for optional subjects. So these are the myths associated. And now comes why I chose geography. First thing is that I could relate the subject with civil engineering. My principal was civil engineering, and I was able to relate. A lot of things there were similarities. And then second thing is I had a good mentor who was able to evaluate my performances. Third thing is about the material availability. I felt that there is sufficient material available. There are good standard books which I can refer, which is readily available in Chennai itself. I stay in Chennai, so it was available. So that is why I chose geography as my optional subject. And this is also one major thing because geography has high weightage for prelims as well as GS papers. So these are the major reasons why I chose geography. So choosing an optional subject play a very, very important role. So based on these factors, you can choose wisely. This is mainly for the beginners. What am I saying now? So just choose wisely your optional subject because that play a very, very important role for mains examination. Now comes the main one, that is geography paper 1 resources. So the first chapter is geomorphology. So for geomorphology, I basically used these resources. Mainly I used these resources. First one is the standard book, which is Physical Geography by Savindra Singh. Very, very important book. You cannot avoid this book at all. And it is a very important book. And then comes Gochen Leon, which I referred only for the landform formations. There are different landform formations like coastal, then you have river based, like water based land formations, then glacier or ice snow based formations, and there are a lot of arid platforms, arid landforms. So all these things I referred from Gochen Leon. And I also focused on the diagrams in Gochen Leong explaining the landform formations. So this portion alone I referred Gochen Leong, that is the landform formations. And then comes internet for other things like whatever not covered in Savindra Singh, I just referred internet, I just googled and saw. And also, this one is very important, Dr. Manishka Jain videos. I think the video, the name is Exam Race in YouTube. So I just watched Dr. Manishka Jain's videos for mainly for these two topics because I was not able to find any major source for these two topics. So I relied on her videos, that is slope formation and channel dynamics. And other than that, whatever is not covered in Physical Geography of Savindra Singh, I referred it from Spectrum book. Spectrum is a very big book. You don't have to see everything from Spectrum book because it comprises of both paper 1 and also paper 2. So it's a very big book, but whatever given is very simple, very easy to understand. So certain things like, for example, applications of geomorphology is something very well given in Spectrum book. So I just referred whatever is not given in Savindra Singh. I just went through the Spectrum book. So these are the four main resources which I relied on for geomorphology. Now, how to be focused? Like, first one is about, let us see, theories of landforms, continental drift, and plate tectonics theory, and geosyncline theory. These are all landform based theories, that is, major theories in the geomorphology portion. So, how to prepare for this? First of all, there should be a definition. If any question is being asked on continental drift, what is continental drift? Who has proposed this theory? So that you need to write the definition, and then come the theory with diagram. Diagram is very, very important. And then you need to know the limitations and the application of theory, where this theory is applied. For example, plate tectonic theories for volcanism and also for mountain building. So, like this, you have to segregate and prepare notes. If you're preparing separate notes, very well and good. Otherwise, in the textbook itself, you can stick in this way, like one definition, then theory, what are the limitations, and application of the theory. So this should be the structure for these kind of questions. And now comes sequential development of landforms. So in this one, you have different types of landforms. For this, I referred Gocheng Liang book, that is types of landforms. There is coastal landform, arid, glacier type landforms. So all these things I referred from Gocheng Liang book. I focused on diagrams, and apart from that, I also went through the index of these chapters in Savindra Singh, because they in Savindra Singh, after every chapter, there will be some important definitions given. Important definition. So there will be lot of terms, and the meaning and definition of these terms will be provided at the end of each chapter. So for all these chapters, that is landform related chapters, all are there in Savindra Singh, but you need not go through all these chapters in detail, but just go through the definition. If possible, you go through the definition, important definition page of all the chapters of Savindra Singh, because example, sometimes you also get questions with geographical terminologies. Example, in one of the previous papers, there was a question like basket of egg topography. So you will be confused what they are talking about. So mainly, so it is about glacial landforms. So this was very well explained in the definition page of Savindra Singh. So definitely you can go through that. You will get one or two questions from this important definition page. So go through that page. And now comes weathering, mass movement and rejuvenated landforms. For this portion, I solely focused on Savindra Singh book. Diagrams are very, very important. So the geomorphology part is over, and I had already mentioned that application of geomorphology I went through the spectrum book. And now comes the climatology portion. Here also I fully relied on physical geography by Savindra Singh textbook. Apart from that, Gocheng Liang for climatic regions. So mainly I referred Gocheng Liang for two things. One is the landforms, and second thing is the climatic regions, their features, what is the associated temperature, what are the local winds there, what are the significances, what is the natural vegetation. Like this, I made a tabular column and I filled each and every tabular column for all the climatic regions. So like this, and I just stuck on my wall and I used to revise it. So like that I did for climatic regions. And then comes down to earth articles, very, very important. There will be a lot of articles related to climate change and what are the measures to be taken to face climate changes and all these things will be there in the down to earth magazine, which is a very, very good magazine. If possible, try to subscribe the magazine and go through such articles, or if you are finding it free, like in online, like if you are finding it really well and good. And then comes climate change and cities report. I think this is the report of UNFCCC. So that also you can refer. There are a lot of things like urban climate changes, uh, then temperature, like global warming. So what are the steps to be taken? What is the condition of global warming? Like how, what are the impacts in temperate regions? What are the impacts of climate change in tropical regions? Like that, such differentiation, graphical representation, diagrams and all you can get from this report. It is very, very important. So if there are questions, application related questions, you can very well answer using this report. And now, how to be focused. Like first thing is about climatic classifications. For this also I relied on Savindra Singh. There are three major types of classifications. So for that, what and all I saw, one is how they are being classified, basis of classification, notations for all the type of climatic Köppen climatic classification and all is there, like that three Thornthwaite. So what is the notations used for the classification? If some basis is there for classification, like based on vegetation, based on temperature, so that I will take note of it. The strengths of this classification, on what basis that they have been classified, their strengths and their limitations. All these things I used to take note from Savindra Singh itself. And then I also prepared notes on differences among the three types of classifications. What are the difference between Thornthwaite and Köppen? On basis of classification, notation, and whether local factors are being considered while classifying the climate. So what are the strengths? In strengths itself, there will be differences. In limitations itself, there will be differences. Who is using these kind of classification? There also there will be changes. So all these things, I just made a note of it. You can also use internet for this particular portion, like differences among the three types of classification. You can very well use internet. Then comes cyclones, air masses, monsoon mechanism. For this also, I solely relied on Savindra Singh. Diagrams very important. And regarding air mass, you learn what is air mass, its mechanism, and the classification, basis of classification for air masses, and types of air masses in Asia. Give importance of air masses on Asia. There will be air masses classification in in Northern America and all. So that just give one read, that is sufficient, but give importance to air masses on Asia. And then comes monsoon mechanism. For this, I referred Kuller book as well as PMF IAS website because it is very well explained in both the things. So I just went through PMF IAS as well as Kuller book for monsoon mechanisms and recent changes in the monsoon predictions. What are the methodologies adopted for monsoon predictions and all? I just went through using internet. Then comes theories of precipitation, local winds, and temperature inversion. In this also, regarding theories of precipitation, you need to see types of precipitation as well as theories of precipitation. That is very well given in Savindra Singh book. You don't have to refer any other book for that. And then for temperature inversion, you see the types, like types of temperature inversion, what are the conditions associated, and significance, importance or significance. Okay. And then in the same way, local winds. What are the types of local winds, their origin, diagram, all these things you can take note of it. It is also there in Savindra Singh. And now comes the reports. These are the two reports I use for climate change. One is climate change and impact. It is a UNFCCC report. And then urban climate. Now comes oceanography. For oceanography, I referred Savindra Singh for the standard topics, like major topics like ocean floor topography. For different oceans, what is the topography? So you need to get the content as well as diagram is also very important for this portion. And then ocean currents, tides and their significance. Temperature, salinity differences. There is one particular portion for that in Savindra Singh. Coral formation theories and limitations of each theories, their strength as well as limitations. Ocean deposits. Apart from that, I also referred these three reports. One is oceans and cryosphere. The second one was coral bleaching. Both of them are Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change reports. Like if you go to their website, these two reports will be available. You can just go through if there are diagrams, statistics, what type of coral bleaching is being experienced in Indian Ocean, how is it different from Pacific. All these things will be beautifully given in these reports. You can just give a read. And then this report, Wilkinson's report, is also very important. Summary of Wilkinson's report is available in the internet. You can just go through that. So the coral bleaching, how the coral is getting bleached, maps of coral bleaching, measures to be done to avoid coral bleaching, and status in India or Indian Ocean. All these things will be very well explained in this report. So you can just go through. I remember once this report was being directly asked by one of the previous year questions, like I think in 2014 or 15, they had asked about Wilkinson's report. So it was about coral bleaching. Then about biogeography, this is the fourth chapter. So here I went through all the chapters in Savindra Singh under biogeography. Very important. It carries a lot of weightage also. And then apart from that, whatever is not there, I just referred Manishka, Dr. Manishka video, Manishka Jain's video for REAMs and their features. This is very important and she would have explained it really well. You can go through her videos. Exam race. And then I also referred Kurukshetra for certain things like conservation agriculture, watershed development, its case studies, and then organic farming, significance of organic farming, what are the demerits in organic farming, case studies like in Sikkim how they are doing it, in Kerala how they are doing it. All these things will be available. Statistics associated with organic farming. All these things will be available in Kurukshetra. So any one of the magazines, like whichever has organic farming, you can just go through that. Now it is environmental geography. It is holding a lot of importance in geography paper one optional subject, so optional paper. But normally we tend to ignore the subject. But I would definitely suggest you to focus on spectrum book, especially for this chapter. So you have everything in this chapter, like in spectrum you the whole portion, the whole syllabus is being covered by spectrum book, so you can refer that. And what I did was I structured all the answers for the previous year questions. So I referred one uh, previous year chapter wise compilation of previous year questions by Neetu Singh. So for environmental geography, what I did, I just went through the previous year questions and I structurized answers for each question, like what to be written. I just referred internet and collected material for each and every question and kept, because there are a lot of questions being repeated, like environmental education and all. A lot of times it used to get repeated. I saw that the question was getting repeated, so I felt like structurizing answer for previous year questions. And then I also went through my prelims environment note. Very important, because last year there was a question on amensalism. So this, if you had gone through the prelims environment notes, you could have definitely answered. Otherwise, you would have got confused between the commensalism and amensalism. You would not have recollected. You would not be able to recollect the exact difference between commensalism and amensalism. So just go through the prelims environment notes also. Now comes the human geography part. For this, for approaches, that is, you have behavioral approach, human welfare approach, quantitative revolution, qualitative revolution, and all. For that, what I used, I prepared notes for each and every approach. For that, I used Majid Hussain book as well as Spectrum book. So what I did about the theory, and two to three thinkers associated with that theory and what they have mentioned about the particular approach. Like behavioral approach means two to three thinkers who have given explanation for behavioral theory. And then examples for the explanation of that theory. For this, I gave two examples. One is international level example and one national level example. For example, regarding behavioral theory, the Swiss farmers, how they behaved, how they cultivated according to their behavior. That example I gave. In the same way, uh, in the national thing, Chota Nagpur Plateau, how the tribal people performed economic activities according to their wishes and mind. So, like this, I gave international level example and national level examples also. And then comes the positives of this approach and the negatives of this approach. Like this, I prepared theory, like a notes for each and every approach as well as theory mentioned in the syllabus. In the same way, for models and theories, what I did, the same thing only about the theory, assumptions and explanations with diagram. Holds a very important place in models and theories, and application of the model theory in India as well as in international level. For example, if it is central place theory means you have one example, like you can give Australia or something, and one Indian level example also you can give where it is seen in India. And then strengths of each and every model and their limitations. So like this, I used to take notes for each and every model. Now comes economic geography. For this, I mostly relied on Spectrum book. I covered each and every portion in the Spectrum book, and then down to Earth magazine for articles related to famine, food security, and all. I just referred this magazine. Very, very good because it provides critical analysis for each and every topic. And then I referred Majid Hussain book for limits to growth. This portion was well covered in this book, so I just referred that. And for industrial location patterns and problems, I referred these two, PMF IAS and Brinal. And also I referred internet for other things like patterns of world trade, how the pattern is getting changed. Like you had bilateral, from bilateral to multilateral now it is becoming. And changes, what are the changes happening in the world trade? Virtual water trade done by China. I just went through that. That is something new. You can even include it in economics also. That is GS paper 3-2. So I just went through all these things. I searched about all these things in internet. And now comes population and settlement. For this, I referred Spectrum book for these particular topics. That is distribution of world population, migration and its problems. That is patterns of migration, world population problems, social capital. Internet for theories of migration. It is actually not specifically mentioned in the syllabus. However, I thought of learning around 2 to 3 theories of migration. It is there in the internet. You can just put theories of migration, it will be available. And then problems and remedies of urbanization. This is the general topic. Try to give some geography related terminologies to it so that it will look in a geography way, like geography optional paper. Your paper will look like that. And then sustainable development of cities. So, what are the measures to be done to make your cities sustainable? That is, like green buildings, vertical gardens, green belts, how to manage waste. All these things I just referred in internet. And then Majid Hussain book for population theories, assumption and strengths, their limitations and differences. All these things I referred. Some three population theories are there that I referred from Majid Hussain book. And apart from that, I referred the rural settlements, urban morphology, and satellite town. All these things were referred from, like I just used Majid Hussain book for all these topics. Now comes regional planning. For this, I again used Spectrum book for environmental issues in regional planning. planning for sustainable development, and also growth center and growth pole. These two topics, like I just went through the spectrum material, and also I just uh, I also learned about its application in India as well as in international level. Like, for example, growth pole, you can give Jamshedpur as an example. How the iron and steel industry served as a growth pole for the development of Jamshedpur. You can give that as an example. And for growth center, you can talk about how China is developing CES. Like there are a lot of facilities, so that contributed to the development of CES in China in that particular region. So like that, you can give examples, you can draw diagrams, you can give case studies also, like how a growth pole has contributed to the development of a region, or how growth center has resulted in economic development. Like that, you can give examples. You can also talk about the problems associated with such growth pole and growth center. That also you can either use internet, or it is available in a spectrum book. You can just go through. And now in I used internet for these three portions. One is concept of a region, types of regions, and methods of regionalization, which is quite important. There are questions asked from this portion. So just refer the internet and see what are the major methods used for regionalization. So these are all about the topics, like the chapters covered in geography paper 1. So I have mentioned the resources in detail, whatever to be seen, and how to prepare notes for each and every portion. I hope you like this session. In the next session, I shall be talking about the resources to be used for paper 2, and also the strategy what I adopted in dealing with the optional subject. Thank you and have a nice time.